If one person keeps entering your mind without warning, listen closely, because this is not always a random habit of thought. It can happen in the middle of work, in the middle of laughter, in the middle of a quiet night when everything should feel calm, and yet their face returns again like a memory with its own heartbeat. You try to focus somewhere else, but your mind circles back. You tell yourself it is nothing, but it does not leave. That is why this message matters. Sometimes the person you cannot stop thinking about is not just a passing desire. Sometimes they live in your thoughts because something between you still carries weight, emotion, and unfinished meaning. And if this has been happening to you, stay with me, because the deeper reason is not as simple as missing someone. It is about connection. It is about what the heart keeps holding when the world gives you no clear answer. You may not hear from them. You may not understand their silence. You may even feel foolish for caring this much. But before you judge yourself, hear this all the way through, because what you are feeling may be more real than you think, and the truth behind their distance may explain why, even now, even after everything, they still return to your mind like a quiet echo that refuses to fade. The person you cannot stop thinking about may truly care about you more than you realize. Even if everything between you feels mixed, distant, or hard to read right now, there is often a deeper reason this connection stays alive in your inner world. It is not just because you are bored, not just because you are lonely, not just because your emotions are weak in this moment. Something meaningful keeps pulling this person back into your thoughts. They appear when your mind finally gets quiet. They show up in the soft space before sleep, in the pause after a long day, in the seconds when your guard is down, and your deeper feelings speak louder than your logic. Sometimes it happens in the middle of a normal day. You are doing simple things. You are talking, walking, eating, working, smiling. Then suddenly, without trying, you remember their voice, their eyes, a moment you shared, the feeling of being seen by them in a way others never quite managed. And it happens so naturally that it almost startles you. You may have tried to push it away many times. You may have told yourself to move on, to be stronger, to stop feeding hope where there is no clear answer. But no matter how many times you try to shut that door, it does not fully close. That matters. So do not skip this part. When a thought keeps returning without force, it usually means there is something underneath it that still wants to be understood. This does not mean something is wrong with you. It does not mean you are desperate, stuck, or unable to let go. It means a bond may still be emotionally open between you. It means something was felt deeply, even if it was never fully spoken. Real connection is not built by logic alone. It is not controlled by simple decisions. It forms in a deeper place where memory, feeling, longing, and meaning all meet. That is why willpower does not always erase it. You can decide with your mind that it should be over, yet the feeling still remains because the heart does not move at the same speed as the mind. Many people think if something was meant to be forgotten, it should disappear quickly, but that is not how meaningful bonds work. Some people leave a mark that stays until it has been healed, understood, or transformed into something else. That is why you can feel strong one day and suddenly miss them the next. That is why a song, a place, a time of night, or one small memory can bring everything back in seconds. It is not weakness, it is emotional truth rising again. And sometimes the reason it rises is because there was never a clean ending, never a clear closure, never a final moment that told your heart, now you can rest. When that kind of ending is missing, the mind returns to the person again and again, not to torture you, but to search for meaning in what still feels unfinished. There is also the quiet possibility that this person thinks about you too, even if they say nothing. Feelings do not always travel through messages, calls, or obvious actions. Sometimes people carry strong emotions in silence because they do not know what to do with them. They may feel overwhelmed. They may feel confused. They may be afraid of what the truth would demand from them if they admitted how deeply they care. So they stay still, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and do not know how to move safely inside it. This is why silence can be so misleading. Silence does not always mean emptiness. Distance does not always mean the absence of love. Sometimes it means fear. Sometimes it means inner struggle. Sometimes it means they are fighting a battle you cannot see. If this is speaking to your heart, stay with me, because this part matters most. You may feel sudden waves of emotion without knowing why. Warmth, sadness, longing, hope. You may sense them at odd moments, almost like your heart notices something before your mind can explain it. Strong emotional ties often work beneath the surface in ways that are hard to name. They do not always follow clear rules. They do not obey perfect timing, but they still shape your thoughts, your moods, and the quiet places inside you where truth tends to live. So before you call yourself foolish, remember this: caring deeply does not disappear just because you tell yourself it should. Still, this connection does not mean you must wait forever. It does not mean you should ignore your own needs, your peace, or your growth. It simply means what happened between you was real. It mattered. And things that matter do not settle in one day. Confusion does not cancel love. Silence does not erase emotion. Distance does not always remove the bond. Sometimes it only hides what is still active underneath. You may never receive the clear answer you want, or one day, unexpectedly, you might. But either way, your experience is valid. The thoughts you carry are not meaningless. The feelings that rise inside you are not empty noise. They belong to a story that touched you deeply and changed something in you. If this person continues to live in your mind, it may be because something between you has not fully closed yet. That does not mean it must stay the same forever. It only means it mattered enough to leave a lasting impression. And listen carefully here, because many people need this reminder. The purpose of a connection is not always forever. Sometimes it comes to awaken you. Sometimes it comes to teach you. Sometimes it comes to show you what your heart is capable of feeling, and then it changes form. Whether it ends in reunion or release, it still has meaning. So be gentle with yourself. Do not rush your healing. Do not punish your heart for taking time to understand what it went through. When someone stays in your thoughts this deeply and this often, it can mean the emotional cord between you is still alive. Even if you no longer speak, even if life pulled you apart, even if silence lasted longer than either of you expected. The mind is not always clinging to the past without reason. Often it is responding to something unresolved. Human beings are disturbed most by what is left open, what is unfinished, what never found its final shape. That is why you may think of them when something good happens and you want to share it. A small victory, a strange joke, a beautiful sunset, a difficult day. They come to mind as the person you still want to tell first. Not because you are trapped, but because some part of you still connects them with emotional closeness, comfort, and meaning. You may wonder how they are doing even while your own life is busy. You may feel drawn not only to their presence, but to their inner world, their energy, their emotional state. This kind of pull happens when two people have touched each other below the surface. What most people miss is this: communication stopping does not always break the bond. Silence can pause expression, but it does not automatically erase emotional imprint. The unconscious mind remembers what felt important. It holds on to what was never fully resolved. And when something important remains open, it keeps returning to your awareness until you learn what it came to teach you. So if this keeps happening, do not rush past it. There may be a message inside the pattern. This also explains why the connection can feel so confusing. Love that is easy often settles into clarity. But love that is deep and delayed can live in the space between desire and fear. One of you may want closeness and fear it at the same time. One of you may feel the truth and still resist it. There may be old pain involved. There may be wounds from earlier relationships, family patterns, disappointments, or times when vulnerability led to loss. Fear does not always kill love. Sometimes it delays it. Sometimes it covers it. Sometimes it creates distance where closeness secretly exists. You may ask yourself, if they care, why have they not acted? Why no clear move? Why so much silence? The answer is often painful, but simple. Many people feel deeply and still do not know how to act well inside deep feeling. Some people are emotionally guarded. Some feel unworthy. Some think they must fix their life first before letting love in. Some are carrying responsibilities that pull them in other directions. Some are afraid that if they move too soon, they will ruin something precious. And yes, some are afraid that loving you fully would change their entire world. So they hesitate, they watch, they feel, they hold back. If you have felt that strange push and pull, that warmth mixed with absence, then you understand how exhausting this can be. But do not leave yet, because the next part may explain why this connection keeps finding its way back into your mind even when you swear you are trying to let it go. When you think of them, you are not only thinking about who they are, you are also remembering who you were when you felt connected to them. This is a hidden reason longing can feel so strong. Certain people wake up parts of us that had been sleeping. They reflect something alive back to us, a softer version of us, a braver version, a version that felt open, seen, chosen, inspired, or deeply understood. When access to that reflection is suddenly lost, it can feel like losing part of yourself. That is why the ache can go beyond attraction. It becomes emotional disorientation. You miss them, yes, but you also miss what being connected to them awakened in you. This is why random memories can hit so hard. It is not just about their face or their voice. It is about the state of being they unlocked in you, the hope, the depth, the aliveness, the sense that something rare was happening. And when something rare enters your life, the soul does not forget it quickly. This does not mean you must chase them. It means you should pay attention, because every strong bond reveals something. It shows you what you long for, what you fear, what you still need to heal, what kind of love reaches you in places ordinary connection never touches. So even if the story feels painful right now, there is still value in it. Sometimes the bond stays because there is a lesson inside it. Sometimes it stays because communication is not fully over. Sometimes it stays because both people are growing toward the same truth, just not at the same speed. If they love you and still stay distant, it is often because they are fighting an inner battle of their own. They may feel the same pull you feel. They may think of you more than you know. They may replay your words, wonder if you still care. Imagine a future, then retreat again into caution. This hesitation is often built from fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of changing their current life too quickly, or fear of not being enough for the kind of love they feel. Love does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides behind careful steps. Sometimes it waits in silence. Sometimes it watches from a distance, hoping the right moment will come when the risk feels smaller and the heart feels stronger. The lack of action does not always mean the lack of feeling. That is a painful truth, because action is what you can see, and feeling is what you are left to guess. But many people confuse these two things. A person can love deeply and still be emotionally unready. A person can care and still be afraid. A person can feel drawn to you and still pull away because the depth of the connection wakes up every insecurity they thought they had hidden. So what matters now is not forcing an outcome. It is understanding what this bond is showing you about yourself. Maybe it is teaching patience. Maybe it is teaching self-worth. Maybe it is teaching you to stop chasing what is unclear and start trusting that what is real will not ask you to lose yourself just to keep it alive. And that is important because what is meant for you may require patience, but it should not require self-abandonment. It may ask for trust, but not endless pain. It may move slowly, but it should not ask you to disappear inside waiting. So let the thoughts come without judging yourself, but do not build your whole life around them either. Notice how you feel when they enter your mind. Calm, warmth, sadness, longing, peace, restlessness, hope. Every emotion carries information. Some emotions tell you there is still love. Some tell you there is still hurt. Some tell you you have tied your future too tightly to someone else's silence. All of this matters. If you keep trying to force yourself not to think about them, the thought often grows stronger. But if you observe it honestly, something shifts. You start to see the truth inside the pattern. Maybe you are waiting for them to return. Maybe you are waiting for clarity. Maybe you are waiting for permission to release what was never clearly held. Stay with that. Because healing is not pretending the bond never mattered. Healing is understanding why it mattered so much. It is allowing the connection to teach you without letting it consume your whole identity. If one day the distance closes, it will happen because both of you are ready to meet honestly. And if it does not, then this bond can still become a turning point in your life rather than an endless question. Either way, there is a path forward that includes your dignity, your peace, and your becoming. Many times, the person you cannot stop thinking about loves you, but their love is locked behind fear. They may believe you deserve better than what they can currently offer. They may feel too broken, too behind, too complicated, too burdened by life to step towards something that feels as important as you. They may worry they will disappoint you. They may worry their past will follow them into the connection and damage it. They may ask themselves private questions you never hear. What if I cannot give them what they need? What if I ruin this? What if I get close and then lose them completely? What if I am not healed enough? What if love with them changes everything and I am not ready for that change? These questions do not come from not caring. They often come from caring too much. People take casual things lightly, but when something feels life-changing, people become careful, hesitant, even paralyzed. They think longer, they doubt more, they pull back to feel safe. That is why meaningful love can sometimes look confusing from the outside. It does not always arrive with confidence. Sometimes it arrives with trembling hands, mixed signals, silence, and slow movement. That does not make it healthy by itself, and it does not excuse endless distance, but it does explain why emotion and action do not always match in a clean way. If you have ever felt in your heart that something deeper was there beneath the quiet, you may not be imagining it. The deeper struggle may simply be hidden from view, and hidden struggles often create the loudest silence. This kind of distance hurts because you are sensitive to the change. You notice the shift from warmth to caution. You feel the silence in your chest, not just in your phone. You sense when something real is there but blocked. That makes the experience heavy because your heart keeps reading between lines that were never fully written. Yet the strongest bonds often pass through long silences, not because they are dead, but because they are still forming their true shape under pressure. Some connections are too deep to vanish cleanly. They stretch across time. They stay alive through memory, intuition, and unfinished feeling. A random song can bring them back. A certain time of day. A simple word. A place you once passed together. That is how you know the bond touched something deeper than ordinary attraction. But let me say this clearly. Depth alone is not enough. Love alone is not enough. A real connection must eventually meet truth, courage, and action to become something peaceful. Without that, it remains a lesson wrapped in longing. So while it is okay to believe they may care, it is also wise to keep your feet on the ground. Do not turn silence into a promise. Do not turn hope into proof. Feel what you feel, yes. Honor it. Learn from it. But keep choosing yourself while life unfolds. This balance matters. It protects your heart from becoming trapped in a story that has not yet chosen its ending, and if this is touching something real in you, then you already know how hard that balance can be. Sometimes the mind keeps returning to them because the connection is asking you to grow, not just to wait, not just to hope, to grow. Maybe this bond is showing you where you still fear abandonment. Maybe it is revealing how deeply you want to be chosen. Maybe it is teaching you to separate real love from emotional uncertainty. Maybe it is asking you to trust timing without surrendering your standards. This is why the connection can feel spiritual, emotional, and painful all at once. It stirs parts of you that ordinary relationships never reach. It exposes your longing. It exposes your wounds. It exposes your deepest desire to be met fully. And when a person touches all of that, they do not leave your system quickly. The imprint stays. But here is the shift. The purpose of the imprint is not always to keep you waiting for them. Sometimes its purpose is to wake you up to yourself, to your depth, to your patterns, to the kind of love you truly want to live inside. So if they are distant, ask not only what they feel, but what this experience is revealing in you. That question changes everything, because the moment you stop making them the only center of the story, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to see that the connection may be meaningful without having full control over its final outcome. And that is freedom. Quiet freedom. The kind that lets you love honestly without begging life to explain itself before you can breathe again. You may also sense that timing plays a major role here. Sometimes two people feel something real, but they arrive at emotional readiness at different speeds. One sees it now, the other sees it later. One wants clarity now, the other is still hiding from it. One is prepared to be open, the other is still armoring every soft part inside. That difference creates painful space. And space can make a real bond feel almost unreal because what is felt strongly is not being lived openly. But timing matters more than people want to admit. A bond with depth requires maturity to hold it. It requires honesty. It requires emotional courage. It requires the ability to stay present instead of running the second things become real. If either person lacks that for now, distance appears. So yes, they may love you and still stay back. Yes, they may miss you and still remain silent. Yes, they may want to reach for you and still hold themselves in place. This is why love and readiness are not the same, and understanding that truth can stop you from taking every silence as personal rejection. Their distance may speak more about their current capacity than your worth. That does not mean you should settle for confusion forever. It means you should stop measuring your value by someone else's fear. Your worth does not shrink because someone cannot meet you clearly. Your heart is not foolish because it felt something true. It only needs wisdom now so that hope and self-respect can exist together instead of fighting each other. So what do you do when they keep living in your mind? First, stop attacking yourself for it. Thoughts are information, they are not crimes. Second, stop forcing a false ending if your heart has not reached one yet. Forced closure often sounds strong but feels hollow. Real closure grows from understanding, not denial. Third, do not let the connection become an excuse to pause your whole life. Keep moving, keep building, keep healing, keep becoming someone whose peace is not controlled by another person's silence. This matters more than you think, because when you keep your life open, you allow room for truth to arrive in whatever form it comes. Maybe they return with honesty, maybe they do not. Maybe the lesson becomes clearer than the person, maybe the bond softens and releases naturally over time. But you will be ready either way, and that is the goal, not to predict the outcome, but to become steady enough to meet it. If they are meant to come closer, they will need to bring more than hidden feeling. They will need to bring clarity, courage, presence. If not, then the connection still served a purpose by showing you what depth feels like and what your heart should never have to beg for. Listen carefully here, because this can change the way you carry the whole story. What stays in your mind is not always asking you to chase it. Sometimes it is asking you to understand it, bless it, and let life reveal the rest without losing yourself in the waiting. And even now, with all the silence, all the confusion, all the late-night thoughts and quiet ache, it is possible that the bond still carries meaning for both of you. Some connections do not disappear just because they are not spoken about. Some love remains alive in hidden places until time, truth, and growth finally bring it into the light or gently lay it to rest. So if this person keeps returning to your thoughts, do not rush to call it fantasy. Do not rush to call it weakness. There may be real feeling there. There may be unfinished emotion there. There may be love there that has not yet found the courage to become visible. But while you honor that possibility, honor yourself too. Let your heart feel what it feels. Let your mind learn what it needs to learn. Let your life continue opening. Because what is truly meant for you will not demand that you stay broken just to believe in it. It may test your patience, yes. It may ask for growth, yes. But it will not ask you to disappear. If they love you and distance remains, then something inside them is still catching up to the depth of what they feel. And if one day the distance closes, it will not be because you forced it. It will be because both hearts finally reach the same truth with enough courage to stop hiding. Until then, trust what you feel, but trust your own path too. Some bonds come to stay, some come to transform you, and some do both before the story is done.